Okay, hi, my name's Andy Fry. I'm here at MIPCOM on behalf of TellyCast and The Drop, and I'm with Jay Bennett, who's a senior strategist at Shaftesbury. Jay, lovely to see you
Yeah, great
in
to
the
see
flesh
you.
after so many years
As
on
we were
digital.
saying, yes, it's
Yeah, and tell me first of all a little bit about your role and about Shaftesbury.
yeah, certainly. Shaftesbury is one of Canada's leading producers. I'll use the word of content, really of television, long-running drama series, both episodic, and serialized. But we've also, since early 2010s, been playing in the digital space, original branded, scripted entertainment, social fan engagement, building fandoms across platforms. Recently, we've gotten to the Roblox space, fan activations, touring symphonies. So we're really, and great credit to Christina Jennings, the CEO. She's always looked at not just making shows, but building brands. And so my role has been, for the last on and off 15 years with the company, coming in and helping to do that. So we've got the show. Now how do we build that out, extend it, find new ways to bring audience in with discoverability, etc.
Brilliant. So it's interesting because I think our conversation is going to be very much about TV's intersection with digital. But in your notes ahead of the interview, you were talking about being marketers, which is quite an interesting idea. So tell me about that idea of being producers as marketers, and particularly around your flagship show, the Murdoch Mysteries.
Absolutely. Broadcasters are wonderful, but I think more so than ever, they can only, and sometimes will only do so much when it comes to marketing. And so I think that puts a lot of onus on the producer, but we're up for that challenge. And so, look, it's not working with huge dollars, nor do I think you need to work with huge dollars to do that. I think you just need to think about where your audience is. I think, in my opinion, and Shaftesbury's opinion, profit is not first, right? It's more like showing the value of the brand, the love of the brand, showing broadcasters the power of the brand. So with Murdoch, which is season 19 now, over 300 episodes. Yeah. How have we been doing that? Number of ways. We've launched fast channels in Canada, and now with our partners moving to the US and Europe. We've looked at fan activation. So as I mentioned earlier, we're doing touring symphonies across Canada. It's fascinating to see the power of that. At a recent one we did in Victoria, BC, over 50% of that audience had never been to the symphony before. And at the same time, a traditional symphony that's selling about 66% of the house, doing these activations with Murdoch Mysteries is increasing that house count to 90%. So that's a new way to find audience. We've started a curriculum project with Murdoch Mysteries. We're in schools, piloting now, so we're in 50 classrooms. The pilot we did last year with 5 classrooms, a couple great stats out of that. It actually raised test scores, so average test score from 77% to 90% in grades 5 to 9. But then for the brand, 63% of the kids who took part said, I want to keep watching Murdoch Mysteries outside of the classroom when I go home. We've been playing in Roblox as a place to meet our audience, and we did that as part of an extension digital series we did called Macy Murdoch. We've now turned those into a series of movies. We're very lucky in Canada. There's a lot of great support from funders that allow us to do that. The Shaw Rocket Fund, the CMF, the Bell Fund help us do that, along with broadcasters, right? Great power to CBC, who've been very willing and open to helping us explore this. Starting next week, we're doing live tours. So we have a 3-year waiting list for our live tours. People coming from the UK, from America, to come for a 7-day tour, explore our sets, meet our cast, do special activations we've created. And even when it comes to M&L, we're launching a tea soon. There'll be a board game coming next year. So in that sort of broad stroke ramble, right? I think all of that and more is always about, okay, how do we ultimately bring them back to the show? How do we bring them back to the brand? But what we're seeing is new audience come in through all this. And it's not just that core audience. We're bringing in youth. We're bringing in new audience from other places.
Yeah, interesting. Let's dig into a couple of points. So what would happen if God forbid, Murdoch Mysteries was cancelled? Would the content you have still be enough in itself to kind of keep the world of your brand extensions, your brand activations going? I mean, have you got a big enough asset now that it can live forever?
It will live forever.
Yeah.
And, God forbid, look, things have their cycle. We're quite bullish about the power of this brand in the market. But to that, yes, I think we see it as building, and it's that word fandom. But I think fandom has strength, fandom has value. And what we've done, I think, by building that strength across a number of platforms that we ultimately sort of, I don't say that word own, but we can speak directly to them, whether it's bringing them a new way to activate the show, bringing a spin-off. I do have this, bold vision, dream that, yeah, you could get to that point. And I think maybe it's part of the models that we're seeing here at the market. That could you turn to an audience, not today, but if you build that strong enough 3-5 years from now, and through some subscription, through some fan-funded experience, self-produce a season.
Yeah, there are models developing, aren't
I
there?
think that's absolutely a possibility.
Yeah. Go a bit more into Macy Murdoch. Really interesting. What did you do there? What's Macy Murdoch about?
Macy Murdoch is the great-great-granddaughter of Detective William Murdoch. So Murdoch Mysteries set in 1910. How do we reach younger audience? 8 to 12 plus was the objective. We figured out a way to bring Murdoch to modern-day high school in 2025 through his great-great-granddaughter's eyes. Just so happens she discovers a time machine and jumps back to the past to solve mysteries alongside her great-great-grandfather. Started as a digital series. We've done 2 seasons there. Season 1, great. I think we really discovered the characters. Season 2, in partnership with CBC, we really set out for discoverability. How do we reach wider with this? We did that in a few ways. One, all episodes went on YouTube, and with CBC's support globally, not geo-blocked to Canada, that was a big step. That was a big change. That was awesome to see. We put the episodes on TikTok as verticals. Again, a new discoverability engine. That drove a lot of interest. And then we did a collaboration with a popular Roblox game to bring to life a portion of 1910 Toronto. You actually get to, with Macy, travel back in time and solve a mystery in Roblox. That approached as a marketing activation as opposed to a let's build a Roblox game from scratch. That did over 128 million unique plays in 5 weeks, which ultimately led a portion back to YouTube. So great views on that. But we're always trying to think, as I think everyone is, how do you do more with this content? We've cut them into movies. So we have 2 movies here at the market, Rainmaker's distributing them. We're also looking for other ways to sort of promote the brand. Shaw Rocket Fund, who's a great supporter of Canadian content, is helping us even do, we've put out some ads to promote those movies, the Roblox pieces. So yeah, that's a bit about that. But I think, again, even if you go back to what I said about the curriculum project, it's allowed us to put this teenage Macy character into that. And so as we're talking to young kids, high school students, through the eyes of the brand, well, in a way now we've given them a contemporary to see the brand with. So, we're always trying to look at how we can find value in sort of a rubric of not just one activation, but what are all the different ways we can use it.
So all of the learnings you've had from the Murdoch franchise, how are you taking that out into other Shaftesbury IP?
Great. It's our time machine moment to sort of take these learnings and go back now to new projects we're bringing to life. One would be Slow Pitch, about a queer female baseball team. Slow Pitch, it's called, and it's coming to market. Just going to camera now. There we've thought about doing talent integration. So we've got a great female Japanese baseball player, the first ever woman to play for a men's professional sports league.
Okay.
She's a character in it. We've done a brand integration with an excellent beer company, and not just beer for beer, one that really reflects the queer values of the series and is connected to baseball. So I think there'll be lots of earned media opportunities around that story in future, as well as we've actually have a product we've created, our own beer, that will be on shelves when the show launches. We've also got for instance, we're doing a new show, a vet series, 1 hour vet series. How do we think about building content beyond what I'll call traditional EPK? So there we're looking at actually creating, let's call it a parallel brand that can exist well before the show launches and well after. That would use YouTube as the primary hub and then break out on social. So to do that, we've got these animals, we've got these great characters. We know from our show Hudson and Rex with a dog, Dog content destroys on social. People love that. And we have sort of that how it's made, animals on TV. So we're going to embed a team into the production for the entire duration to each episode with 3 animals. Think of all the interesting stories we can tell, not just about how that animal is trained for that stunt that might take place, what are they eating, how do they prepare for set. I think we can go and create that parallel brand on social that should support the series, and that would create opportunities maybe for brand integration around that. So those are 2 examples of us sort of trying to take the learnings and apply them to the future.
Brilliant. So obviously we're here in Cannes. You're here selling programming, which, you know, MIPCOM has traditionally been about buying and selling programming and financing programming. But there's been a very strong emphasis on the creator economy.
Yeah.
YouTube have been a big presence. What do you make of that? What do you make of YouTube's presence here at the center of this TV market?
I've attended some of the panels. Brand Summit's also here as a major player, and so look, it's fascinating to sit in and see it through, I guess, my eyes, having experienced it, but at the same time see it through, let's call it traditional producers' eyes. I think it's absolutely no longer the outlier of the conversation. I would say, I think the piece missing as we talk about, and look, every panel ends with someone saying, don't be afraid, get in the space, you should do it, which everyone should. I would just say, I think there needs to be a bit more conversation around how long it actually takes, right? It sounds like I'm on YouTube, it's all, yes, but to build audience and to build sustained audience and build meaningful, true engagement, I would say, look, time is money, but it's not really necessarily the high cost of it, because it doesn't need to be high cost. You can be in these spaces with a point of view and a phone, but it is not instantaneous. And I think it needs to be consistent. It needs to be, as everyone says, great content, but it also needs enough runway. And if I think back to some experiences I've had in the past making original scripted for brands, that's always been the big challenge, and I think still is brands view the timeline for a story still through the timeline as they view an ad, which is, this is a 3-week campaign, this is a 6-week campaign. But I think to build meaningful fandom around a story, that's a 6 to 18 month journey. And so I would say it's great that YouTube's here. It's great that we're talking about brands. My wish would be, I think we could go just a bit deeper into the realities of doing that, as opposed to necessarily just the great case studies.
Yeah. And of course, you have experience. I mean, you years ago you made Carmilla.
Yes.
And you have your own channel, don't you? Is it Kinda TV?
Kinda TV right now. Yes, Carmilla for us, we did about 8 original branded series, from working with Walmart to the Royal Bank of Canada to Tetley Tea. Carmilla with You by Kotex was absolutely our greatest breakthrough there. I think we hit the right niche of niche. I'll use that word. I think we found the right audience in the right place at the right time. But it's interesting, right? Even there's lessons. I think for us at that time, we were really proud of the organic engagement. This is back in 2016. We were so excited about what you could do without ad buy. So we were driving millions of views, millions of fans around the world. We did 3 seasons, short form, but 100 episodes. We did a fan-funded movie. We did a book. We did a tour. But we were doing that all organically. I think the time machine moment for me there is we should have at that point gone and actually used almost now the rules of digital, which is you do have to put dollars behind your content. Yes, the organic will give you that bump, but then you need to sort of continue to bump the balloon into the air. That would be my lesson there on that one.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's wrap up with just a couple of general thoughts. So again, talking a lot about the creator economy. How are creators beginning to impact on what you do? How are you working with creators?
Great example, back to Murdoch Mysteries. Jason Mewes, who is most famous as part of Jay and Silent Bob from the Kevin Smith films. We discovered, he reached out to us, like a huge Murdoch fan. More so than some of us. Like his knowledge, he's watched every episode. Thank you, Fast Channels. We gave him it started traditionally, right? How about we give you a guest spot in an episode? He'll be in one later this season, in season 19. But while on set, we were already thinking about rewatch podcasts. How do we go and create more original content that that can allow these new audiences in. I think that's sometimes a barrier, right? With especially if you think 300 episodes, where do I even start? How can we create a vehicle to allow new audience in? And Jason, as this fan who was out there telling the story himself on social to his friends, hey, you should watch this show. So we've gone and done a pilot. It actually launched about 5 days ago. We did an hour and 40-minute rewatch podcast of season 1 of episode 19. We had our star Yannick Besson on it. We had Countess Luann, who's a big Bravo star who also had a guest spot. That's doing exactly what we hoped. So I looked yesterday, hundreds of comments from all these people who had never even heard of it, talking about, thank you, Jason, I'm already 6 episodes in. I'm already 1 season in. I think that's a great example of, and now our hope is to do a full season rewatch and see where that goes. More and more, we are thinking about how creators can use our IP, our brands, in a respectful way, a controlled way, to tell those stories and reach new audience. Yeah.
That's a really interesting point. I was going to be one of my questions. I mean, you have to be willing to let go your IP to some extent, don't you? Let people play with it, which is not a traditional mindset.
I've had that conversation. Look, I've had that conversation a few times, and I think through a traditional lens, that's scary. I have 2 points to that. One, they'll do it anyways. but 2, and this is the truth, any creator worth their salt, they have a brand. So they're not in the business of going and starting to do things that are harmful to your brand. They want it to be successful. So I think you just want to be clever in who you're partnering with and make sure there's a value alignment. But other than that, what a wonderful opportunity to reach new audience in new ways. And again, as I said, bring them back to the brand. I'm very pro that, yes.
Okay, final question. This week, I think the hot topic of the week perhaps has been microdrama, vertical drama.
Yes.
Omdia said that it's going to be twice as valuable this year as fast.
Yes.
What do you make of microdrama as opposed to fast?
First lesson, and this is a MIP lesson. Vertical and microdrama, as I now understand it, are different things. Microdrama is very much like saying, these are my words, a rom-com, right? It is a genre. Vertical is a format. So I'm going to talk about vertical. Because vertical is what's exciting to me, because that can move beyond, I think, what we're currently typically associating with that format, which is more soapy. But vertical, that can do drama, that can do comedy, that can do horror, that's really exciting. I want to do some experiments there, absolutely. I've already wondered, and look, this is a first test, but could we shoot our next digital series in both formats simultaneously? I think that's interesting. Again, putting out the same story on multiple platforms, one 16:9, one vertical. And then 2, when I was at the panel with Holy Water and Fox is in that space, 200 originals they're doing. I'm interested in that, right? Like, I think about, again, Shaftesbury as a company that is very comfortable working in many different mediums, telling quality stories at a range of budgets. I absolutely think that's a conversation we want to be in. Again, how can we not only create new IP and new audience there that could move, but I'm also of the belief, and as I'm sure many are, you may not have to move. I do think vertical is a meaningful format that has long legs. I think we agree that it's not a flash in the pan, as some other flavors of the moment have been in the past. VR, which is still not finding a way. I think vertical can move much faster than that.
Yeah, it'd be handy to have that time machine now to know whether you're right about that, wouldn't it? Brilliant. Well, Jay Bennett, lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, great
Thank
chat.
you for your insights.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks.